Right, welcome back to Tales from the PowerAge. How you doing, guys? You good? It's a bit windy outside, but don't worry, we're still here and we are still hungry. So that is a good segue into Twisted Sister and Stay Hungry, 1984. And you'll be glad to know we had representation at this gig. The mighty Gapster was there, and he's going to tell you all about it. Before we do that, though, if you've not watched this before, please ring the Hell's Bell, give us a sub, or please let us know your memories from this tour in the comments. And it was a really exciting tour, albeit very short tour. So, Gab, do you want to move on to the press ads first?
Yeah, not much to go on here, but just a very simple Twisted Sister logo and their bones for this, the adapted logo to be bones, I guess, because they're hungry. Yeah, we're trying to work out really whether it was just 3 dates on this tour that they did after the album. It's very unusual. I know they were touring all the time, but if you look at various sites, they disagree on what shows were done. But we know for sure there was a show in Oxford, not only because it was press ad, because a bunch of us were there.
I were there.
So, yeah, they were really on the ascendance here, and these were full-page ads, so got some investment from the record company for once.
Yeah, looking good. And they'd actually they'd had a bit of coverage in the UK by being on the Tube. I don't know if you remember any of that, guys.
Yeah, well, they were slowly building, weren't they, over here? I don't know if this is the point where we touch on that, but Dee has always been very appreciative of the British fans because they, and other bands in Britain, British bands and fans that supported them in the early days, because I think they had huge support in the native New York, but the rest of the world weren't really interested in it. It was the Brits that really supported them.
If you have a look on the white press ad at the dates, there's an extra one down there, look. Norwich University.
Do you know what?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I'm on about. So it's a mystery.
I thought it was 4 dates.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So, you know, that kind of proves that it was a fluid situation.
But it's an interesting gap between the 2nd at Oxford and the 13th is that at Norwich. So it would be interesting to see if anyone saw them in between, because they'd have been over here in the UK. So yeah, there may be a few more dates might crop up.
Yeah, they'd had a leg up from a bunch of I think Lemmy and Pete Way.
That's right. I'm just going to say famously, they toured the States and worked so hard, particularly around New York, and never got a record deal in the States, and then managed to get a record deal in the UK with a little record company called Secret Records, which Gav's going to show you.
Yeah, I think this might have been released after the. Yeah, that's what the Secret label looks like. So there was Rough Cuts, which I think came after, like I say, but this was the main first album, which was Under the Blade, executive producer Pete Way, and that was on Secret. Yeah, there's an inner sleeve as well. So they had it all together, but just on a tiny little indie, which is amazing.
And they probably got a bit of grief because of how they looked. So they were like a cross between New York Dolls and Kiss, maybe, but much harder in terms of how they played. And famously, I think when they played the Tube, they weren't getting a great reception from the crowd. And then Lemmy came up on the stage. And everything changed from that point.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, brilliant
story.
Talking of Lemmy, Eddie Clark does do a solo on this album, Young, Fast, Eddie. Yeah. Recorded in the UK as well, and I think the next album was recorded in the UK as well. So, yeah, even though we're not supposed to be talking about every other blooming Twisted Sister album, we've managed to get them in. And while we're at it, this is an introduction passed down from my brother. It's a very eclectic album. It's Reading 82, did we decide?
Yes.
Yeah. And anyway, if you get a chance to listen to this, the Twisted Sister song on this, he does a massive long rant to the crowd about chucking things and the fact that they're chucking them and it's hitting the crowd down the front, and he doesn't stand for that, and he wants them to go and meet him backstage, and if anyone's got a problem with him, come backstage, we'll sort it out then, but don't hit these people down below.
It's the fact they left that on the actual record. But I've seen this in record fairs and that before for not too expensive.
No, you can pick it up for nothing.
Yeah, which is quite amazing. It's got White Snake, it's got Terraplane, it's got Marillion, it's got a lot of our favourite bands, hasn't it, Gav? When you think of the time,
UFO. Schenker.
Yeah, exactly. It's well worth. That's well worth picking up, I think, for a few quid.
Even Spider, and there's quite a few Spider fans out there. Let's be honest.
Budgie as well. Some real great.
Budgie. Yeah.
Budgie.
Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, let's go to the singles.
It again had the album before had that, which in kind of chanting anthemic tones is very similar to these, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're obviously
great local melodies, brilliant, all of them.
Really pop sensibilities, but with the aggression and the rebellion that we all love. But yeah, what a classic set of singles, all brilliant.
Yeah, and the tour dates on the back there.
Is that the 12-inch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got they're the other way around on the single.
Yeah, played Dunstable.
Yeah, Dunstable, Queensway.
Iconic Queensway.
Yeah. See Magnum there and Grand Slam. Yeah. Of course, these first two together put you in mind of the hilarious videos that accompanied them. We haven't really majored on that on this episode, but everybody knows those videos and how brilliant they are. And the birth of MTV, perfect timing for something like that.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone from any genre of music that you listen to back then, they're going to recognise, especially I Wanna Rock. I mean, you could play that anywhere in the world and people are going to know that. It's on
the SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, bizarrely.
Yeah.
And we're not going to take it. That's massive on social media when stuff's going on. So
it's a better song
brilliant.
for me. Brilliant drum intro. We'll go into that in a minute.
When we're at sixth form, when we were at sixth form, a good friend of the show, we were asked. They were going around asking us, what did we want to do? What was our career going to be? What we were going to do with our lives? And famously, in that lesson, our good friend Paulo piped up with, "I want to rock," and famously he has in a roundabout way. So, well done, mate. Yeah, fantastic. Good for you.
Over to comments? The number one fan, Gapo.
Yeah.
Well, I got it when it came out purely because of the singles and seeing them on the telly, and my dad absolutely hating them, which obviously meant it was much more fun to be into them. And famously, well, for me, famously, not for anybody else, but he gave me some money to go to the record shop, and he was hoping I was going to come back with what was it, The Works by the Queen, and I came back with this instead. And he took one look at the cover, and with a look of disdain, off I went to my bedroom to play it loud, as you were supposed to do, and I played it to death. Absolutely played it to death. This record, I've still got it here. It's and I've played it just now, and it's still in perfect condition. Brilliant. Nice. Starts off with a great song, great drumming, great bass line. The only thing about this album that I didn't like then, and I still don't really like, is the very tinny guitar sound. But it sounds so much better on a decent stereo. I would have only had a horrible little record player back in those days, but I've got a really good one now, and it sounds a lot better on a good stereo. There's no doubt about that. And then into that iconic drum beat that we all know as a classic cowbell and anthemic song that it is.
It is a brilliant drum intro. Yeah, he's underrated as a drummer. Massively.
Yeah, absolutely. He was. The drum sound on this album is really good as well.
Yeah,
there's a brilliant bass line in this, and from Mark the Animal Mendoza, because there is another Mark Mendoza bass player, I believe. Is that right? Yeah, there is, isn't there?
So we're not going to take it, and I Want to Rock, probably their biggest tunes they ever wrote, right? I think think about all the songs that they wrote over those albums. They're probably the two biggest.
Yeah.
Well, those two and I Am On Me, like we put those three in a little group together. Everybody knows them.
And
every rock fan, anyway.
Yeah. The day of an actual album that you buy, Gab. So you bought this record when it came out, May the 10th.
I think maybe when it came out. I can't remember, to be honest with you.
May the 10th.
Definitely bought it in '84. I definitely had it before going to see him.
We often talk, exactly. We often talk about being a in the moment. And for you, your first gig, wasn't it? This was your first gig in June?
No, it's my third gig.
Was it your third gig?
Third gig, yeah. At 14 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd already seen Magnum and Grand Slam.
That's it.
Yeah.
To get this record the month before going to see, and this came out in May, and then to have it, especially if your dad didn't like it, it must have been immense.
It was totally immense.
Did your dad like SMF?
No, I probably didn't play it to him or tell him what it meant.
What does that stand for?
I don't think we can say it on the.
I think you're correct.
Podcast, can we?
Oh,
Muddy funk.
I'll leave it down to people's imagination. The first word is sick, anyway.
Oh, right.
Anyway, so the first 3 tracks are all Stormers.
Yeah, Burning Hell, another great song. It starts really slow and then goes into it speeds up, and you got your first bit of double bass drumming and in this song, and then there's a classic little bass and drums bit in the middle.
Yeah,
that they
you don't
do.
hear that anymore, do you?
No, it's really, really, really good.
That reminds me of Y&T, because they used to have those sorts of dynamics. Rather than just turning everything down or going clean, they actually play quieter, don't they?
Yeah.
Nobody does that anymore, I don't think.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Y&T, I can't remember which Y&T song. There's one on Mean Street where they do that.
Midnight in Tokyo, I think.
Midnight in Tokyo.
Yeah, it's the one that kind of just builds up.
Yeah.
But they actually play softer.
Actually take you to the limits as well. Y&T do that a lot.
And then for me, the next songs aren't so good.
I didn't think so back in the day, but having listened to it just now and recently, I think these are really, really good, really strong. I probably didn't like them because I probably didn't really understand the dark subject matter that they were talking about when I was 14 years old. And if you listen to it now, I mean, the lyrics are really quite scary, to be honest. That's why it's called Horror Terrier, I suppose. But yeah, both of them are really, really good. And the Street Justice is for me is superb because is it this one? Yeah, he changes his drumming in each verse, which is superb. He changes it from the first verse to the second verse, and then there's no drumming in the third verse. You know, little things like that, they really, really get me. So love that sort of stuff.
Yeah, Captain Howdy reminded me a little bit of Mr. Blackwell. It's probably not a good thing. From Kiss.
I think, from The Elder, yeah. I think it's probably a little bit better than that. But
yeah, okay, no, fair enough.
I hope so.
And then in case you were starting to doubt them, smack you in the face with I Want to Rock.
Anyone, anywhere in the world, especially of our age, would know that song, whether you like rock music or not. And they probably like that song even if they didn't like rock music, because of the video and because it's just a classic anthem. Great singing, superb.
Anything on the other ones, Gaps?
Well, you got the obligatory ballad, haven't you? Jam's favourite, The Price, I'd imagine, off this record. But it's a good ballad because there's lots of heavy guitaring in it as well. And the vocal melody, again, is just storming. Don't Let Me Down, superb. Speedy. Classic B-Vox in the chorus. Great pre-chorus. More double bass drumming in it. And just before they go into the solo, he does a little fill, AJ Pero. He ends on a splash cymbal, which is just superb. You don't hear that very often. And it's probably the first time I'd ever heard a splash, apart from in Gav's bedroom. The Beast is probably the least. It's not a filler, but it's a good song. But then you go into the classic SMF with the great lyrics, and which really got me. And you're a walking wonder. You're a metal machine. I was a metal machine, obviously. Scream it loud. Know what you are. Be proud. You're an SMF. Great ending, and it was brilliant live as well when they did this.
Yeah. It was pretty. And on the 12-inch for I'm Me, special thanks to the Phil Big Daddy Carson and all the SMFs at the Marquee. Now, we weren't there in '83, but we were a few years later.
I guess that's the kind of thing that Wolfsbane picked up later on with their Howling Mad S-heads. That was their brethren, as we would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a proper head banging song as well. SMF, you really get your head down and bang away. Yeah,
which we'll cover in a minute because then there was the live show. So Gaps and a couple of the guys from school, part of our wider group, went to Twisted Sister at Oxford Apollo. Sadly, I couldn't go because I was on holiday with Mum and Dad at a ripe young age in early teens. But Gaps, what do you remember from the show? What were the highlights?
Well, this is one I do remember quite a bit about, to be honest with you. I went with Borlo and Crookshank from school.
Donuts.
But we were down the front. I was on the right-hand side of the stage, and anyone who knows Oxford Apollo from back then had a very, very short wall thing before the pit, I mean, it only came up to your knees, and if you were getting pushed against that, you could easily go over. But there wasn't too much of a crush down there. I was right in front of the PA, and I remember coming out, and I could not hear a thing at all. When I got into my dad's car, you picked me up afterwards, couldn't hear a thing. Couple of great memories from this. Lita Ford was really good, of course, and she looked rather special in her tight leather, which was really nice. We can gloss over that, but there you go. She was really good. So they came on to AC/DC. It's a Long Way to the Top. That was their entrance song, and I don't think I've ever seen it ever before, or certainly not before, because this was only my third gig, but never again afterwards, where Eddie actually walks onto the stage. He's actually playing along to it, which I thought was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and,
brilliant.
It's superb. Now, one thing I didn't really understand as a 14-year-old was this. I didn't really know what it meant, but I just picked it up, and I was doing this to Mark Mendoza for the whole gig, and he was watching me, and he kept looking at me because I was going nuts, but I was doing this at him at the same time. He was thinking, what on earth is this kid doing? He's obviously into it, but he's giving me the middle. And at one point, he actually came to the front of the stage and tried to kick my hand, and so I was doing it too. Oh, it was dreadful. And I thought, maybe it's not what I should be doing then, and I think I probably stopped doing it after that.
Because we didn't really have that, did we, in the UK?
No, certainly not in the early 80s, no.
14, didn't we?
In your defence, I believe that was an American thing. I mean, here in the UK, we'd be giving someone the V's, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would. Yeah, exactly.
F off or whatever, you'd be like, ugh.
I thought it was a term of endearment.
Well, do you know what? Funny enough, a couple of years later, me and Gav did that to Kirk Hammett in the US. Do you remember that? In Germany.
Yeah.
He gave us the middle finger back laughing.
Yeah.
As well. Do you remember?
Brilliant.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Rock Halfin took a photo of us.
We did, yeah.
Now, Paulo's told me recently about, you see the Eddie pick there. He's told me recently how he got that. Now, as I just said before, the little wall thing, or I don't know if you could really call it a wall because it's made of wood. Barrier, yeah, that's it.
And remember,
it was really low, and he flicked this pick out, and it ended up in the pit.
It's an orchestra pit. It's a proper,
proper orchestra pit.
Yeah, very low down, so it's quite scary. I've been at a gig recently there, and I was on the back. It's up to your knees, as you say. Yeah. And it's quite a drop the other side. Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, this thing landed down there, and he said him and another bloke went over from the front row, and this bloke got his hand on top of it and turned and smiled at Paulo. And Paulo wasn't having any of that, so he just went whack on this bloke's hand, picked the pick up, smiled back at him, and then got hauled back up with the pick in his hand. It was so good.
And if he hadn't done that day, it wouldn't be there right now.
No, exactly. And even though they look slightly different colours, that is the same.
It is,
yeah. Another thing from this is a strange one where we're talking about Dee's rants. He's had one before, but this one was a bit weird. He wanted everyone to stand up. He wasn't taking anything lying down. Everyone in the whole gig had to stand up, even the people up the top in the balcony in the circle. And there's this one bloke who wouldn't stand up, and he just kept going at him, swearing at him. Why on earth aren't you standing up? Going and going and going. And he was with a woman, and I remember this woman, because I was looking up at it, and I remember this woman just shouting as loud as she could that he was in a wheelchair.
Oh God!
And unfortunately, I can't remember how it was resolved, whether he actually apologised or what, or whether he just sort of glossed over it and just then they carried on and played another song. But it was quite shocking.
Not a highlight.
Not a highlight.
You told us that back in I remember you coming away from the gig and us all going, how'd it go, Gaps? Because we didn't all go. And you were telling us that. I was like, oh no, that stayed with me for it. I've thought about that several times.
It stayed with me forever.
Jeez, it's one of those things. But yeah. I mean, you don't remember how long they played. I mean, it looks a great, to be honest, I wasn't a Twisted Sister fan, but that looks like a really good balanced set list.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But not that many.
No, I seem to remember it being fairly short, but not as short as Dio, which was a few months later.
Yeah.
I guess Lita Ford probably had a decent time though, because she was pretty popular at the time, and she featured a lot in Kerrang and stuff, didn't she? Sounds. Yeah. So she probably had a decent time.
Yeah, she was great. Yeah, I don't remember any of her songs, but I was just looking at her most of the time.
Gotta let go.
As a young 14-year-old would be.
Especially a future lady.
A bloke. Exactly.
Okay, cool. So full marks for the gig then. You enjoyed it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. But
But
as I say, it was so loud, especially being in front of the PA, and my hearing suffered big time that night.
And it was one of those gigs that hadn't been attended by all of us. So you guys are really triumphant that you've been to, and obviously, as you could, I know this might be hard to believe, but it was the greatest gig you'd ever been to in your life at that point. And
it probably was. Yeah.
Reminded of everyone.
Number 3.
Well, given the two that you saw,
well, given the two previous ones, which were also both unbelievably brilliant as well.
Yeah, but they weren't bombastic like this.
No,
they weren't in your face metal.
Yeah, they were understated to say the least, weren't they? Your first real light.
Magnum, for one, were a little bit down on their luck at the time, and certainly didn't have a production, did they? But, certainly turned that round pretty quickly. And and
then Grand Slam, of course, so there was hardly anybody there, was there?
Yeah, that was just a small, almost undercard type. But yes, this is your first big. I think that's why I probably thought this is your first big actual.
Yeah, first big gig. Yeah,
show.
First American band.
Was it well attended?
I seem to remember it was, but it wasn't. There wasn't a crush down the front. But you didn't really have that back then, did you?
You did for Maiden.
Was there for Maiden?
Yeah.
Saxon.
And then Maiden they shouldn't have been there, should they? They shouldn't have been playing that size venue.
No.
Okay, well that's
what they did.
That's the gig, 2nd of June, 1984. Unbelievable. First one, he's actually ever remembered everything from it. So that's a good sign. So what happened next and what came next? So, Jam, you've got to come out and play. And Gab's got the special edition there, I think, with the fucking...
Yeah, show it, Jam.
Oh, I just bought the... I just got the 12-inch.
You got the normal one, haven't you? Oh, yeah.
I literally just bought the 12-inch.
Gav's got the one which opens at the front.
We always just
That's probably the best part about it, to be honest.
That's brilliant. I love that from Gav. It's great. Yeah, I bought the 12-inch probably because it had I Want to Rock on the B-side because the A-side was...
Yeah, this is American because it's got a little import nick.
Yeah, nice. On Atlantic Records as well.
Yeah, it's got... I mean, it's really... America uses thicker card stock normally, doesn't it? It's got a merch sheet.
Very nice.
Going heavy on the pink.
It's in their videos.
Yeah, what we're dancing around is, unfortunately, we didn't really think it was the best next step they could make.
Gav, just pull the notes again on the back, which is quite interesting. You've seen the videos. It's hard to explain to people that, again, were not around in 1984, 85, quite how big MTV was. And these guys were, all the stars aligned for them at this point. So they've been signed to Secret Records in the UK, which subsequently went bust. They tried to get signed to Atlantic Records in the States, and that never worked. And then, of course, they signed them after the Secret Records went under. So they finally got their wish. But yeah, great merch sheet. And they were on MTV all the time, on all the rock shows for sure. Brilliant.
Actually, looking at the picture on the back, sorry to keep flicking around, but it looked like they were trying to maybe half lose the makeup.
Yeah, they did look. They looked really good on those pictures. And I went to see them again on this tour in London. But they were nowhere near as good, unfortunately.
Why weren't they as good?
I honestly don't remember. It was nowhere near as memorable. And of course,
he's back.
Normal service resumed. Oh.
The only thing I remember about the whole day really was when we were walking to me and my mate from the little village where I lived. We were walking to the gig and we actually saw this big black car pull up outside a theatre, and Princess Diana got out of it and walked into wherever she was going to watch that night. It was quite strange. So,
I think
that was the most memorable thing of this night.
The mistake they made, certainly from a UK perspective, was leading with Leader of the Pack.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
You're not going to rush out and buy an album that's got that on it. It's a pretty lame song. It's a bloody awful version, and the video was just as bad. Did you see the video?
Yeah, compared to the other video.
I've seen the video, but I don't remember it. Thankfully,
I think someone thought, oh, and it's got the rebellion thing in it, but it had no guts.
No, it was lame. It was funny in parts, but it was lame, wasn't it? Compared to the other two,
I remember at the time that we really pushed against it.
Absolutely.
We're not just saying it in retrospect.
No, I mean,
more saying it
the fact that I actually bought that, and I'd have bought that probably because Gaps would have been banging on about them. So I'd have thought, I'll buy that. Twisted Sister got a new record out. I'll buy that. So I bought the 12-inch, bought it. I thought, this is dreadful. And then that's it for me. I'm like, it's terrible, isn't it? How sometimes you do make a snap.
Yeah, that's it.
We sometimes
one album, and have you ever listened to Stay Hungry?
No.
No, there you go. So you probably haven't revisited it
I
at all.
only know the singles, and it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good album. You should definitely buy it.
Yeah. I think those first 3 albums are brilliant, really good, really upbeat, and quite heavy as well, weren't they? Yeah,
I didn't realise that. Look, can you see who produced it? Well, I won't. I'll do this.
Oh,
Geezer from the Scorps, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, Peter Dirk. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Gosh.
One thing that we haven't mentioned, of course, is that Dee Snider wrote all the music and all the lyrics.
Yeah.
So he's minted.
Yeah.
On that note, though, Gav,
a bit like Joey Tempest.
Yeah. I think on that note, Gav, you got a little story about a song that.
There is a little story. I mean, I've heard Dee say this on a few occasions, and it's quite funny. His wife asked him to write a Christmas song for her, and I think maybe it was just going to be a private thing. So he did, and it was the early 90s. Somehow, correct me if I'm wrong, please, or even update me. It may have been on a solo album, or it may have been released as just a single or something. But Celine Dion's management got to hear the song, and it ended up with Celine requesting that she recorded the song, and it got to Dee for his approval. And he was like, "Yeah, of course, but just don't tell her who I am," because he was so scared that she would think, "Oh, I'm not doing it if it's that hairy SMF." So it just went ahead. She did record it, and 14 million sales later, Dee goes on about living. They bought a house in Belize, and they call it the house that Celine bought because he made so much money out of it. Yeah,
and you know what? They've worked so hard, and particularly Dee Snider. I mean, totally deserved. Fair play.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has got an ear for melody. I think that's what we really loved. And we saw him also fairly recently as a solo act, didn't we, at Hard Rock Hell? And his solo stuff was brilliant as well.
Yeah, it was great. He was great that night. He was the headliner on the Thursday night, wasn't he? He was superb.
Fantastic voice, talking and singing. And he's got, but all the songs have melody. He can't help himself. And, that's a brilliant combination.
And a great entertainer. Great live man, great front man.
Absolutely,
we often talk about front men making bands, don't we? Great front man. I looked up on YouTube and I liked it because when I was preparing for this and saw the Celine Dion Christmas song, the first comment that comes up is, "Who else came here because of Dee?" Do you know what I mean? It's pretty cool. I like that. It's like loads of Twisted Sister fans getting there.
The Magic of Christmas Day. If anybody wants to look it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you could, I'm sure you'll all be typing that in after you've watched a few more of our podcasts. Okay. Well, look, well done, guys. That was Twisted Sister. Gaps, what a great gig that was. And I'm sure it's one of the greatest gigs you've ever been to in your life.
Of course.
I know it certainly was straight afterwards. Now, sadly, we've got no footage of Twisted Sister on our live channel, but we've got lots of other stuff on there, and we've got lots of stuff coming up as well. So please give that a separate subscribe if you subscribe to this channel, and have a look at where we've been and where we're going. And that's also on YouTube. If you want to get in contact with us, you can do that on Facebook on Tales from the PowerAge, on X on Tales from the PowerAge at TTFTPR, or you can actually contact us now on Blue Sky. Woohoo! Look at us being ahead of the game.
A lot of people look at this and saying, X, what the hell was that? But maybe not.
TFTPA. Actually, Blue Sky's been picking up 1 million users a day, apparently, allegedly. Well, we're on it, so we're posting daily. You can contact us online at www.talesfromthepowerage.com, or if you want to buy some merch, and this is a great time to buy some merch, by the way, that's at redbubble.com, merchandise at TFT PowerAge. So, look,
and it's really good quality as well, by the way. This hoodie is superb.
Yeah,
good quality. Yeah,
really great.
That's lovely.
Keep you warm and keep you looking sharp on a Friday and Saturday night when you're out seeing
Or
gigs.
just get a sticker.
Oh, exactly. Get a sticker or get a badge, but you can only really get a badge if we give one to you when we're out on tour. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. That was Twisted Sister. Hope you enjoyed it. See you soon. See you later, guys. Bye.
See you, peeps.
Cheers. Bye-bye.